The spaceship was quiet, too quiet. Vexa walked slowly through the dark hallway of the damaged human military ship. She was an alien girl from the planet Zeora. Her skin was soft blue, and her silver eyes glowed in the dark. She was lost, cold, and very hungry. The war between her people and the humans had ended weeks ago, but many human ships still floated in space, broken, abandoned, dangerous. Vexa entered this one to find food, or maybe a way home. Sparks flew from broken wires. Metal walls were black from fire. Vexa stepped over a dead robot and coughed from the smoke in the air. She touched her stomach, it growled. She had not eaten for 2 days. Then she saw a door with a red sign. Biolab. Authorized personnel only. Vexa didn't know what the words meant, but the door was half open. She pushed it slowly. Inside, the room was cleaner than the rest of the ship. Lights blinked. Machines hummed. In the center of the room was a glass table. On the table was a small bottle filled with a glowing blue liquid. It looked like water. The bottle was cold. Vexa picked it up and turned it in her hand. She didn't know this was no normal drink. This was Project Ignis, a secret human military serum made to increase power, speed, and aggression. It was never tested on aliens. Vexa looked around. No food, no water, just this bottle. She sat down. Her hands shook. Her lips were dry. She opened the bottle and smelled the liquid. It had no smell. She took a small sip. Nothing happened. She waited. Then she drank the rest. At first it felt like warm tea, but then her eyes widened. Her body suddenly felt hot, not warm, burning. Her skin glowed brighter. Her heart pounded fast. She stood up quickly and dropped the bottle. It shattered on the floor. She gasped. Her breathing became heavy. Her legs were shaking. Her chest rose and fell fast. She touched her head. Everything was spinning. Then, a voice spoke from the walls. Warning. Unauthorized activation of Serum 47. Human military subject not detected. Cross-species reaction in progress. Vexa backed away from the speaker. Her hands were glowing, her arms felt stronger, heavier. Strange feelings rushed through her body. A heat she didn't understand filled her chest. Her thoughts became strange. She needed to leave. She ran out of the lab and into the hallway. Her feet were fast now, too fast. She slammed into the wall and fell. Her body shook again. She whispered, "What is happening to me?" Her voice sounded deeper, a little wild. Her eyes burned with strange fire. Then she heard footsteps. Someone was coming. She hid behind a broken crate. Her breath was loud. She couldn't stop it. Her body was reacting, changing. Her skin was glowing brighter. Her fingers twitched like they had power she couldn't control. The footsteps got closer. It was a human. A male soldier. He wore a black suit with a silver emblem on his shoulder. His helmet was off. He had short dark hair and sharp eyes. He looked around the hallway. "Anyone here?" he called out. Vexa felt her heart pound even harder. Her eyes locked onto him. She didn't understand why, but her body reacted strongly. A wave of strange hunger passed through her again. She bit her lip to stop a sound from escaping her mouth. The man stepped closer to the lab door. "Serum 47, he whispered, reading the label on the broken bottle. His face changed. He looked shocked. "Oh no. Someone drank it?" He turned, fast, scanning the hallway with his eyes. Vexa stayed still, but her body trembled. Her breath was hot. Her skin glowed like fire. She didn't know this man, but somehow her body responded to him. The soldier took a slow step forward. "If anyone can hear me," he said calmly, "I can help you. But you must show yourself." Vexa closed her eyes. She didn't want to be seen. She didn't want to be touched. But the fire inside her was too strong. Her body needed something, someone. She didn't understand it. Her fingers dug into the metal floor. The serum was changing her. Not just her strength, not just her body, her instincts, her desires, her emotions, and this was only the beginning. The first thing Vexa felt was her heart. It didn't beat like before. It thundered. Each beat echoed in her ears, louder than footsteps, louder than fear. She lay curled behind broken crates in the hallway, her blue skin now glowing like stars in the dark. Her hands were pressed against her chest. Something wild was waking up inside her. She wasn't just warm anymore. She was burning. Not like fire on skin. Not like fever. This was something deeper, like her body was calling for something, or someone, and wouldn't stop until it got it. Her fingers twitched. Her back arched. She gasped. Her eyes widened as her vision changed. Everything looked sharper, brighter. She could see dust floating in the air. She could hear a machine humming far down the hall, and she could hear him, the human male, the one with the sharp eyes and calm voice. His footsteps were steady. He was getting closer. Vexa's breathing became fast and shaky. The serum inside her was moving through her veins like liquid lightning. Her skin was tingling. Her thoughts were messy. Her instincts were loud. Touch him, smell him, feel him. She shook her head hard, trying to push the thoughts away. No, she whispered. This is not me. But it was too late. The serum had awakened something deep inside her species. Something Zayorans had buried long ago. The human stopped walking. His name was Dane. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a scout, trained to survive in silence, to fight without mercy. But in this moment, he didn't feel like fighting. He could feel something watching him. A presence. Alive. Powerful. Close. He turned his head slowly and saw a faint glow behind the crates. He stepped closer. Vexa's body tensed. Her claws dug into the floor. Her eyes locked onto him. She didn't want to hurt him, but the fire inside her made her feel like she might. She stood slowly. Her long hair floated around her like smoke. Her silver eyes burned with strange light. Her breath fogged the air. Dane froze. He had never seen anything like her, alien. But beautiful, dangerous, but broken. He raised his hands slowly. I won't hurt you, he said softly. Vexa took one step forward, but then grabbed her head and groaned. The serum was pulling her emotions in too many directions. Her mind said, run, but her body said, touch. I drank glowing water, she said in broken English. Now feel fire in chest and skin and blood. Dane's eyes widened. You drank the serum? He whispered. He pulled out a small scanner from his belt and aimed it at her. It beeped loudly. The screen turned red. High energy levels. DNA mutation. Pulse rate. Off the charts. He looked at her again. That serum wasn't for you, he said. It's not for anyone, really. It was made to push soldiers past limits. Turn off fear. Turn on instincts. Vexa's hands clenched. Can't stop feelings. I want to. Move close. I want to scream. I want to. She stopped. Her eyes locked onto his. Dane didn't move. Her voice was shaking. Help me. And then suddenly, she collapsed. Dane caught her just before her head hit the floor. Her body was hot to the touch, like metal in the sun. She trembled in his arms. He looked down at her glowing face, her breathing sharp, her eyes half open. She was not a threat. She was scared. She didn't choose this. And yet, if she lost control, she could destroy everything. Vexa whispered. Why? Is my heart beating so loud? Dane placed a hand gently on her chest. It's the serum, he said. It wants to awaken the warrior inside you, but you're kind. You weren't built for war. Vexa looked at him with weak eyes. Then why? Do I feel like I need you? Near? Dane said nothing, because he didn't know the answer either. Cliffhanger ending. As Vexa lay in his arms, Her body glowed brighter. A low sound came from her throat. Not pain, not fear, something else. Dane looked at his scanner again. The levels were rising, too fast. If they didn't find a way to stop it soon, she might not be Vexa anymore. She might become something else. Something the galaxy had never seen before. The fire inside her didn't sleep. Even when her eyes closed, even when she lay still in Dane's arms, the storm continued to grow under her skin. It whispered wild things to her heart. It twisted her thoughts. She wasn't just changing. She was becoming something new. But she didn't want to. Dane sat on the cold floor, holding her carefully. Her head rested against his chest. Her glowing skin flickered like candlelight. Sweat ran down her face. Her breathing was heavy, wild. She was burning up. He had seen soldiers break under the serum before. But this was different. She wasn't built to carry this kind of power. Dane slowly pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. Her body shook like a volcano, trying not to erupt. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. Vexa gasped and tried to stand. "No, please," Dane said quickly, putting his hands on her arms. She stopped. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. For a long second, there was silence. Then her voice broke softly. "I feel too much." Dane nodded. "I know." "No," she whispered. "You do not. I see you. I smell you. I feel you in my skin." Her voice trembled. "Your voice makes my heart beat faster. Your touch calms the fire." She pulled away slightly, confused and scared. "Why?" she asked. "Why you?" Dane didn't have an answer. He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a doctor. He was just a soldier, trained to shoot, to hide, to survive. But now he was sitting on the floor of a broken ship, holding an alien girl who was glowing like a star and whispering things he didn't understand. He reached into his pouch and took out a cold water pack. He opened it and gave it to her. "Drink," he said gently. Vexa took it with shaky hands. The moment their fingers touched, her breathing calmed again. Her glowing skin softened. She drank slowly. Her lips trembled. Then she looked at him. "I don't want to be a weapon," she said. "You're not," Dane replied. "Not to me." There was a long pause. Outside the ship, the stars moved slowly across the window glass. Time felt frozen. Inside the room, Vexa was fighting a war inside her own body. The serum pushed her instincts to the surface and raw feelings, strange hunger, desire, power, confusion. It wanted her to lose control, but when Dane held her, the fire inside dimmed, not gone, but softer. She looked down at her glowing hands. "What?" "If I hurt you," she whispered, "then I'll heal," he said. "What if I lose control? Then I'll help you find it again." Vexa stared at him. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not even her own kind. Then, something strange happened. Her heartbeat slowed. Just a little. The glow in her skin faded slightly. Her body, for the first time, began to cool. She leaned her head against Dane's shoulder. "Stay close, please, the fire listens to you." Dane nodded once. "I'm not going anywhere." But peace never lasted long. Suddenly, a loud alarm beeped on his scanner. Dane looked down. Surveillance drones inbound. Human military patrol. 2 minutes away. His heart jumped. He looked at Vexa. "They're coming," he said. "And if they see you like this, they'll think you're dangerous." Vexa's glow brightened again. Her breath sped up. The fear returned. She whispered, "They will kill me." Dane stood up and helped her to her feet. "Not if I get you out of here first." Cliffhanger ending. Vexa looked at Dane, her eyes full of fire and fear. "You are human," she said. "Why are you helping me?" Dane stared back at her. "Because I see more than fire when I look at you." he said. I see someone fighting to stay good. I won't let that be lost. Outside, the ship's metal walls shook. The sound of engines filled the hallway. They were out of time. The walls were shaking, not from the storm, not from war, but from what she was becoming. Vexa ran beside Dane through the long metal tunnels of the ship. Lights flickered above. Sirens screamed. The sound of engines from military drones roared outside, but the loudest sound was still her heart. It thumped like a war drum, deep, wild, hot. Her feet moved faster than they ever had. Her body felt lighter, stronger. Every step made her muscles burn in a good way. It should have scared her. Instead, it thrilled her. But she kept her eyes on Dane. As long as he was ahead of her, she felt in control. He was her anchor, her calm, and she was the storm. They stopped near an old blast door. Dane opened a small control panel and typed fast. The system was locked. He cursed under his breath. Vexa stood close behind him. Her breath warmed the air between them. She whispered, "They will catch us?" Dane shook his head. "Not if I can get this door open in time." Vexa tilted her head. "Why do humans fear me?" Dane paused. "Because they don't understand what the serum did to you," he said. "And maybe because they fear what you might become." She looked down at her glowing hands. "I fear that too." Suddenly, the door clicked open. Dane grabbed her hand and pulled her inside. The room was small, filled with screens, tech, and an old medical station. Dane pushed the door shut and locked it behind them. Vexa stood in the middle of the room, her glow lighting every wall. Her body trembled. She could feel the serum pulsing in her blood again. "Sit," Dane said softly. "Let me scan you again." She nodded and sat on the cold table. He aimed the scanner at her chest. The screen flashed red again. "Your energy is rising," he said. "Too fast." She looked into his eyes. "What does it mean?" Dane didn't answer at first. Then he sat down beside her, took a deep breath, and said something he hadn't said before. That serum wasn't just made to make soldiers stronger. It was made to turn them into something else. She frowned. "What else?" He looked at her. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Hunters." Dane stood up and walked to the corner of the room. He opened a small box and took out an old data chip. He plugged it into the screen. Footage appeared, grainy, violent, soldiers screaming, shadows moving too fast, creatures made from the serum, no longer human, chasing, roaring, killing. Vexa watched silently. "These were my teammates," Dane said. "We thought the serum would make us unbeatable. It did, but it also made them lose their minds. They stopped feeling anything, except hunger, power, need. They became monsters." Vexa held her chest. Her eyes were wet. "I don't want that," she whispered. He turned to her. "I know. That's why you're still you." Silence filled the room. Then Vexa asked, "Why did it affect me this way?" Dane rubbed the back of his neck. "It was never meant for alien DNA," he said. "Your body's chemistry, your emotions. It reacts differently. Instead of turning you into a killer, it's waking up your instincts. Emotions, feelings, all at once." He walked closer. "That's why you feel heat, why your body wants to move, why you feel drawn to me." Her eyes widened. "You know," he smiled slightly, "I'm a soldier, not stupid." Vexa looked down, embarrassed. "I don't like it. It makes me weak." Dane crouched in front of her. "No," he said. "It makes you stronger than anyone I've seen. You're fighting it. You're holding on. That's real strength." Suddenly a deep thud shook the room. Vexa jumped. Dane ran to the screen. A drone camera showed 5 soldiers outside the ship. One was a high-ranking commander. Dane cursed again. They brought Commander Velt. He shoots first, asks questions. "Never." Vexa stood up. "If they see me, they will fire." "Yes, then we can't let them see me." Dane nodded. "But I also can't let you go through this alone." Cliffhanger ending. Vexa looked at herself in the mirror on the wall. Blue skin, glowing eyes, shaking hands. She didn't know what she was anymore. But in Dane's reflection behind her, she saw hope. He had a choice. Follow the orders in his blood, or follow the truth in his heart. Dane stood in silence watching the soldiers on the screen outside the ship. His own people, his own unit. They came with guns, with fear, with fire in their eyes. But they didn't know what he knew. They didn't know Vexa. She stood behind him, quiet, glowing faintly in the dark room. Her hands were no longer shaking, but her voice was soft. They will not stop. No, Dane replied. They will kill me. Yes, she stepped closer. And if you protect me, they will call you a traitor. He didn't turn around. I know. Vexa didn't understand. Why was this human risking everything? For her, she wasn't his kind. She wasn't even part of his world. She was an accident. She had drunk the serum. She had become something dangerous, something new, something no one understood. But still, Dane stayed. She asked quietly, "Why are you not afraid of me?" He turned around slowly. "Because when you looked at me," he said, "I didn't see a monster. I saw someone fighting to stay human, even if you're not one." Dane pulled a black badge from his belt. It was shaped like a sharp wing, his rank. He stared at it, then crushed it in his hand. Vexa's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not part of them anymore." He walked over to a hidden panel and opened a hatch. Inside was a small escape pod, old, dusty, but still working. "We'll take this," he said. "It's small and not on their scanners." Vexa touched the edge of the pod. Her hand was glowing again. "Will we be safe?" He looked at her. "Maybe not, but we'll be together." Outside, Commander Velt's voice echoed through the hallway speakers. "Attention. All life forms inside. This ship is under human military control. Come out now, or we come in." Dane ignored it. "Vexa," whispered, "you could still run. Save yourself." He stepped closer. "I already made my choice." She stared at him. No one had ever chosen her before. Not like this. Not when it meant losing everything. Not when it meant standing against his own people. Dane grabbed a small backpack and tossed it inside the pod. Then he turned to her. "You ready?" She nodded once. But before she could move, the room lights flickered red. Warning: external breach detected. Vexa's eyes widened. "They are coming in!" Dane grabbed her hand. "We don't have time." She hesitated. "What if I lose control again? What if I hurt you?" He squeezed her hand gently. "Then I'll still choose you." They ran into the pod. The hatch closed behind them. Inside, it was tight. Warm. The engines hummed softly. Dane activated the controls. "I set a path to a moon colony. It's abandoned but safe. We can hide there until we figure this out." Vexa sat down beside him. She was glowing more now, not just from the serum, but from something else. Trust, hope, connection. As the pod launched from the ship, soldiers broke into the hallway behind them. Commander Velt shouted in anger. "They're escaping! Shoot them down!" Cliffhanger ending. Inside the pod, Dane looked out the window. Explosions shook the ship behind them. Military ships chased them through space. Vexa closed her eyes. Her body was still burning inside, but her hand stayed wrapped around Dane's. This time, the fire didn't feel like a curse. It felt like protection, and she had someone who chose her, and no matter what she became. It started with his scream, not loud, not long, just sharp enough to freeze her heart. The escape pod shook violently as red beams of energy lit up the stars behind them. Human fighter drones locked onto them and fired without mercy. Inside the pod, Dane worked fast at the control panel. His fingers moved quickly, eyes focused, sweat dripping down his temple. But the last shot was too close. It hit the pod's left wing, The whole pod flipped once, then spun out of control. Dane slammed into the wall, hard. "Dane!" Vexa shouted. He groaned, falling to the floor. Blood ran from his head. The lights flickered. He wasn't moving. Vexa crawled to him, shaking. Her hands glowed too bright now. Her breath came in gasps. Her fingers touched his face. His skin was cold. "Wake up," she whispered. "Please. Please wake up." But he didn't. And that's when it happened. The fire inside her didn't burn this time. It roared. It exploded through her body like a living storm. Her eyes turned white-hot. Her skin cracked with golden light. Her body rose from the floor, floating, not flying, rising. Her scream shook the walls of the pod. Every inch of her glowed like the heart of a sun. Outside, the drones closed in. The human commander watching the screens said just one word. "What is that?" A wave of energy burst from the pod like lightning. Every drone near it stopped. Their engines died. Their lights shut off. They fell, crashing into the cold dark of space. Inside, Vexa held Dane in her arms. Her tears glowed like tiny stars. She whispered, "You chose me. Now I choose you." She touched his chest, and then her fire moved into him, not burning, not hurting, healing. Dane gasped, eyes flying open. He coughed. His chest rose. He blinked fast and looked around. "Vexa?" She was beside him. Her glow had faded, just a little. "You came back," she said. He touched his chest, breathing hard. I thought I was gone." "You were," she said quietly. "But I couldn't lose you." He stared at her. "You healed me." She nodded slowly. He sat up, confused. "But how?" She looked at her hands. "The serum didn't just change me, it gave me something new. Power. Feeling. Life." Then her voice dropped. "But it takes something from me, too. Every time I use it, I feel less like me." Dane touched her face gently. "You're still Vexa." She closed her eyes. "For now." The pod beeped. The damage was bad, too bad. "We can't reach the moon," Dane said. "The controls are dead." She looked out the window. "Then where?" He looked at the map. There was one place left. A human satellite base, abandoned for years. If we land there, we might survive. She nodded. "Let's try." The pod began falling toward the cold gray surface of the base. Wind, ice, silence. They landed with a hard crash. But they were alive. Cliffhanger ending. As the dust cleared, Vexa stood beside Dane, looking up at the stars. She had just stopped, an army with one scream. She had brought a dying man back to life. But deep in her chest, the fire was changing again. Not just power, something ancient, something final. And far above, human command had seen everything. Now, they didn't want to kill her, they wanted to own her. The serum changed her body, but love changed her soul. Vexa stood alone at the edge of the broken platform. The cold wind touched her glowing skin. Below her, silence. Above her, stars. Behind her, the man who changed everything. Dane watched her, from a distance. He didn't call her back. He knew she needed this moment. The wind blew through her silver hair, and the fire in her chest, once wild, now felt quiet, not gone, at peace. They had survived the crash, repaired the old base, made it home for now, but peace never lasted long. 1 hour ago, the humans came. Not with guns, with a message. A voice from the sky, deep and cold. "We do not want to destroy you. We want to study you, to use you. Give her to us, and no one else will be harmed." Dane crushed the radio under his boot before they could say more. Now, Vexa stood at the edge thinking. She could hear the hum of ships in the distance. They were coming. Slowly. Carefully. Watching. They will not stop, she whispered. Dane stepped beside her. Then we don't stop either. She turned to him. Her eyes were glowing again, but softer now. Full of warmth. Not just power. You gave me your trust, she said. Even when I didn't trust myself. You gave me a reason, he replied. Vexa looked at her hands. The serum inside still lived, but it no longer controlled her. It was part of her now, and she had made her choice. I don't want to be their weapon, she said. Not theirs. Not anyone's. Then don't be, Dane said. Be something new. The wind picked up. Dust danced across the ground. Above, the human ships appeared, dark and silent like shadows. One of them opened. A small landing team stepped out. They were in white suits. Clean, cold, empty. One man stepped forward holding a glowing collar. We will not hurt you, he said. If you come quietly. Vexa stepped in front of Dane. I'm not going with you. The man raised the collar. Then you leave us no choice. He pressed a button. A drone fired. A bolt of light raced through the air, aimed at Dane. He didn't move. But Vexa did. She leapt in front of him, arms wide. The bolt struck her chest. Her body lit up like a second. Sun for a moment. Everything stopped. Time. Sound. Wind. Then the light exploded outward, knocking the soldiers back. When the dust cleared, Vexa stood tall. Not broken, not hurt. Awakened. Her eyes were pure light. Wings of energy spread from her back. The serum had burned through every part of her. But love had shaped it. She wasn't a weapon now, she was something else, a guardian. The soldiers crawled backward, terrified. She spoke, voice strong and calm. You wanted power, but you never understood it. Power is not control. It is choice. She turned to Dane. And I choose this. She grabbed his hand and lifted him into the air with her. They rose above the old base, into the sky, into the stars. The ships followed, but none could reach them. Her light was too bright, her will too strong. They vanished into the stars together, beyond radar, beyond reach. 1 week later, a signal came from the edge of the galaxy. It was Dane's. Firsim, we are safe. She is learning to control it. She is not a weapon, she is not a mistake, she is Vexa. And she saved me long before I ever saved her.